Hello everyone, today's tutorial is about Rhino, a 3D modeling software which will help you design your structures. When opening Rhino, you'll be in front of a new document that will look like this one, but if you want to open a second document, you can click on File, New, and this will open a second document. One thing to always be aware of, and you should do that as soon as you open a new document, is check the units, because the units might not be in inches or in feet. So for that, you will go to File, Settings, and here you will have access to the units and tolerance. So you can change from centimeters to inches or feet. We'll do inches for today. And it will ask you if you want to convert the units that you had into the units that you want. You should say yes. And then you can close the window. So when you set your units, you will see that you have 4 windows: one top view, one perspective view, one front view, and one right view. If you want to work in one of these views, all you have to do is double tap on the name and you will enter that view. And what it means is that, for example, if you have a cube, on this window you'll see it from the top, on this one you'll see it from the perspective, from the front, and from the right side. So in order to navigate these 4 windows, if you right click on your mouse, you'll be able to rotate the perspective view and see what it looks like in different perspectives. You can also use the pan tool. And for that you can just type pan and it will type into this toolbar. Press enter and you can pan through these screens. Another important command to know is that Shift will redo whatever action that you had previously done. In order to zoom in and zoom out, you can use your mouse. Or you can simply type zoom and select a box on the object you want to zoom on, and it will zoom in. One of the most useful tools is the gumball tool, which are these arrows right here, as well as these arches. And in order to turn the gumball on, you just type gumball, and it will ask you if you want it on and off. So you click on, and what the gumball tool allows you to do is to move your objects in certain directions easily, and also to rotate it very easily. Just like every other software that we've had a tutorial for, in order to rotate objects at 90-degree angles, you hold the Shift key. Another important command is the O snap command, and you can write O snap, and what this allows you to do is to be able to move objects in relation to other objects or in relations to fixed points. So you want to select endpoint, near, point, midpoint, center, intersection, perpendicular, and whatever you think will be useful to you. And what that does is that you can now select a specific point and here it will tell you end and intersection. So let's say I build another object, and I want these two corners to be touching. I can move this object, and for that I can write move. Select this point, which is an endpoint and an intersection, and put it next to this point, which is also an endpoint. And now I accurately positioned it where it needed to be. And you can also do that with midpoint. For example, if I want to take this midpoint and put it on this endpoint, that is doable as well. And same goes for center. If I have a point and I want my corner to be exactly where this point is, I can select this corner and put it where the point is. To create these objects, you can create lines. And this toolbar will help you create whatever structure you're trying to design. Over here we have points. You can insert as many points as you want. You can create polylines, and what polyline does that a line doesn't do is that it will continue. You'll be able to make as many lines and connect these lines together. You can also create curves. The curve through points. So, for example, these points. Or you can curve through these 3 points. And whenever you select a command, for example, if you want to create a rectangle over here, it will tell you exactly over here, or it could be on top of the toolbar depending on what version you're using. It will tell you exactly what to do. So here it tells me first corner of rectangle. So my first corner will be here. And then it tells me other corner or length. So I can either choose another corner or type the dimensions I want, for example, 3 inches, and that will give me a span of 3 inches, and then I get to choose the other dimension, which is 4, for example. And from there I have a 4 to 3 inch rectangle. And that goes as well for lines. If I want a 20-inch line, I can write 20 and then choose what orientation this line will be, and then click and then enter. So now I have a 20-inch line. And to make sure that this length is the correct length, you can click on the line and write length, and it will tell you right at the bottom over here the length of the line. Or if you want to measure distances, you can write distance and go from one point to another, and it will tell you exactly the distance. Something very interesting about Rhino is that most of the commands you can write what you want. So let's say I want a circle. I can write circle. So if you can't find it on the toolbar, you can probably try to write it, and that will give you the command you need. For example, if I want text, I write text, and I can write my name and create text. Something you should always work with are the layers, and the layers are over here on this panel, and they're separated by colors. So if we pull this right here, and you can rename them by double clicking on them, and let's say this is triangles. And let's say this is triangles. And the way in which you select the different layers you're on is by clicking these little circles, or you can simply double click on it. Depending on the version, you can either double click or click on the little circles. And you can change the color of what you're drawing here. If you double click on that, you'll get to choose what color your layer is. And these colors will be drawn into Rhino. For example, if I'm on layer 1, which is red, when I draw, my lines and everything else will be red. If I'm on this layer, which is green, anything I draw will be in green. And it's also possible to select objects from just that layer, and for that, you right click on that layer and select objects on this layer. And everything that is on this layer will be selected. You can hide a layer by clicking on the light bulb, or you can lock a layer by clicking on the lock over here. And when you lock a layer, it will mean that you can't touch the layer and you can't edit the layer until you unlock it. I highly suggest in Rhino to work in layers because you will be dealing with a lot of shapes and a lot of volumes, and you want to be able to turn them on and off in order to be able to see what's happening on your screen. So you can do lines in Rhino, you can do line work in Rhino, but what Rhino is most useful for is its ability to 3D model. And for that you can create surfaces. So you can create surfaces from corners, 3 or 4 corners, from curves, from a network of curves. You can loft a series of, or you can create a plane from 2 points, and you have a variety of choices within the creation of this surface. So for example, if I want to create a surface from 3 corners or 4, I can click on here, and this will give me a surface. And you can change the view of what you're modeling by clicking on view, and then you can see it in wireframe, which is what we have right now. You can have it shaded so you can actually see the surface you're working with. You can have it rendered. You can have it ghosted. Ghosted is very helpful when you're working with a lot of elements and you want to see what is happening inside, or what is happening inside or behind something. So you can also loft from curves or from lines, and for that you can, if you create your curves and then you want to loft them, you can click on that and press enter, and I've just lofted between these 2 curves. You can also make solids, for example boxes, if you click on the box icon over here. So you will have to draw and plan the width and the length of your box. Let's say a 30 by 30. And then you will get to choose here on the right side or on the front side the height of that box. So let's say 50 inches. And now you will have a full box. You will have a volume. And you can see it in top view here, front view here, and right view here. You can also create spheres. Or if you want to create a specific form, you can create your shape. You can create your shape. and from there you extrude the shape to create a volume. So if I type extrude curve, so extrude CRV, and type enter, I can extrude it from the top and decide on the height of this new shape. So let's say 60 inches. Still have my 2-dimension curve underneath. However, now I've created a new volume. And this new volume is right here. You'll realize that it's hollow, and if you want to put a top to it, you can write cap. And now you'll have a top to your new volume. You can also extrude the surface. So if I were to want to extrude the surface and make it a volume, I would type extrude surface, SRF, and give it a height, so let's say 70 inches. Now my surface has become a volume, and I can also cap that. Going to top view, if you create, for example, a circle, if you want to offset a circle from this circle, you can write offset and choose the dimension you want. So let's say 10 inches, and that will create, that is offset 10 feet away from the first circle. And that goes for any shape. So for example, if I create this shape and I want to have an offset of this one, let's say I have 5 inches away, I can do that. And this is very convenient when you're building plans and you want wall thicknesses or thicknesses for materials. For example, let's say I am creating a rectangular room that is 100 inches by 75 inches. My wall thickness would be 1 feet, so I can offset that to 12 inches. However, if I want to create a door, I can trim out this door. So my door would be, for example, 36 inches. And I can place this wherever I need my door to be and trim away those 36 inches from this line work. And the trim icon is this one right here. And the trim icon is this one right here. And it will tell me select the object to trim. So this one. And once I'm done, I can click enter and delete my trimming object. And add lines. And now I've created a space for my door. So this is a useful way that you can use the trim. But obviously you can use trim to trim anything else that you need. You'll see that these lines are 4 different lines. And if I want them to be just one unit, I can write join. And they will join together and create one line. Now if I want them to become separate segments, I can click on the line work and write explode. And now you'll see that each segment becomes its own line. At corner, one useful tool is fillet. And for that, you write fillet. And you click on the 2 lines, and you'll see that it becomes a rounded corner. And for this tool, you can add the radius of the circle you want. So let's say I wanted a big arch. I can add a radius of 3. And my arch will be bigger than this one. Now if you want to split any objects, you can create a line, or if you already have a line with which you want to split, you can click on this tool, which is the split tool, select the object to split, which would be these two, and then click enter, and then select the cutting object, and the cutting object would be this one. And if I do that, you'll see that my one segment becomes two and is split with this line which I added. Now a lot of times if you make a volume, you will need to cut out something from it. So for example, a door. And from volumes you can make boxes, cylinders, spheres, cones, pyramids, tubes, whichever you want. Now let's say I have to cut out a cylinder. We can use the Boolean tools, and the Boolean tools, you can use Boolean union, Boolean difference, Boolean intersection, or Boolean split. So what Boolean union will do is that it will unite the two volumes into one. For example, if I select the surface and select this, for example, if I select these two surfaces, they now become one object. Now, if I decide to do Boolean difference, it tells me to select the surface to subtract from, which would be this one, and the surface to subtract with, which would be this one. So this carves out the cylinder from this volume. And it can also be done the other way around. If I want to carve out this angle from the cylinder, I can click on Boolean difference, click on the cylinder, and then click on this volume, and I will have this sharp angle into my cylinder. What Boolean intersection will do is that it will only keep the parts where the two volumes are intersecting. It could be also more than two volumes. So you would click on this surface, and then click enter. So you click on this surface, click enter, click on this surface, click enter, and all I have is the intersection of the two. Now let's say I'm creating this room. And so I want to join all of these elements and extrude curve. And let's say it's 120 inches up. I want to cap it. And now another useful tool is the copy and paste tool. So you can click on one element, click copy, and that will allow you to make as many copies as you want. So copy, and you can choose a point from which you're copying, and click another point from which you're copying to. Now let's say I want to take a section of this. I select everything I want to take a section of. I write section, and you can go into your top view and select where you want to take that section. This won't be very useful for this example, but when you have your actual structure, it can be very, very useful. One very helpful command is the make2d command is the make 2D command. And what that does is that it transforms your 3D model into a 2D drawing. So let's say you would want that angle into a 2D drawing. You would select it, make 2D. Depending on what you want to show, you can show the hidden lines, and you can also maintain the source layer. So if you have different layers on one drawing, that is really useful because you can turn on and off these layers, whether you need them or not. So when you make 2D, this will appear here, and if you go on the top view, it will be a 2D drawing of your 3D. One other really important thing to know about Rhino is that if you select from right to left, anything that is touched by your mouse will be selected. However, if you select from left to right, only elements that are entirely encompassed into your selection window will be selected. So for example, if half of this line is selected, the line will not be selected. However, this whole line, which will be encompassed into my window, will be selected. You can copy and paste elements by using, depending on if you're using a Mac or a PC, Command C to copy and Command V to paste, or Control C to copy and Control V to paste. A lot of times you will want to import a picture into Rhino so that you can trace it or work over it. So for that, the command is picture frame. So if you write picture frame, you'll be able to select a JPEG or a TIFF. And let's say I'm taking and you'll be able to select how big you want it. So here, because it's a soda bottle, make it smaller. And you'll be able to trace over it. I'm doing half of this shape. I know many of you will be using bottles or shapes as such, and a useful tool for that to create bottles or cups is the revolve tool. So you just have to create half of the bottle, or you can create the whole, and you will type revolve, and from there you can make it revolve and create a bottle. And so this will be your new module, for example. And you can also trim by using surfaces. It doesn't have to be a line. So for example, if I want to remove half of the bottle, I can create a surface that intersects with where I want to trim. And from there, trim it. So trim, and now I only have half of the bottle. So you can use all of these techniques to help you build your new structure. And save. Now you can save this by clicking File, Save. And you can also export it by clicking Export, and you can export it into an AI file, so it can go into Illustrator, a PDF file if you want it to be a PDF. a Rhino file, or you can also print a PDF, and for that you can print, and then print a PDF here, save as a PDF. Or you can save it as a DWG file so that it can open in AutoCAD as well. But you can also select a specific portion of your Rhino file to export, and for that you select whatever you're trying to export into Illustrator and say export selected. AI file to put into Illustrator in order to fix the line weights or add colors. Or now you have the basic tools and understandings of Rhino in order to create your new structure.